270 वार्ड है तो 27,000 ऑक्सीजन बेड्स हम शॉर्ट नोटिस पे 2 हफ्ते के नोटिस पे और तैयार कर सकते हैं। तो ये सारे बेड्स मिला के हुए 63,800 बेड्स हम लोग इसके लिए तैयार हैं या तैयारियां चल रही हैं। 6,000 सिलेंडर हम लोगों ने चाइना से इंपोर्ट कर लिए हैं और अब हमारे पास 6,000 डी टाइप सिलेंडर्स, खाली सिलेंडर्स मौजूद हैं। 2900 सिलेंडर भरने की कैपेसिटी पर डे की अब दिल्ली की हो गई है। मैं फिर से उम्मीद करता हूं कि ओमिक्रॉन वायरस ना आए, थर्ड वेव ना आए। बड़ी मुश्किल से हमने पूरे देश ने इस वायरस का मुकाबला किया, लेकिन अगर आती है तो हम तैयार हैं।
कोशिश इतनी सी है बस कुछ ऐसा कर जाए, हर चेहरे पे खुशियां।
What's common to these smiles is the technology that connects them. Smart technology from Kirloskar.
AU बैंक अपने कस्टमर्स को देते हैं उनका अपना QR कोड, मतलब आपकी पेमेंट सीधा आपके अकाउंट में, कई बिजनेस बेनिफिट्स के साथ। AU बैंक, बदलाव हमसे है।
Shifting focus now to also a conversation point that's been the focus of many debates and discussions on air, online, offline, everywhere, and that's the regulation of cryptocurrencies in our country. Of course, apart from the fact whether you've invested or not and how much money you've already made if you have invested. Now, today the point of cryptocurrencies reached the parliament, and during the question hour, the finance minister did take few of the questions that had been put across by various members of the house. Now, while the government, as you know, is working on a crypto bill, which is essentially largely going to be about the digital currency that the Reserve Bank of India will issue, but apart from that, it will also deal with a framework for blockchain technology and also tell us what the government's view is and rules and regulations are for private cryptocurrencies. What actually are private cryptocurrencies to begin with? All of that, we understand, will only become clearer to us once the government tables that bill, which is currently under works. But let me tell you, what is it that we found out or got a sense from the finance minister today in terms of the questions that was asked and where the government may really stand on these issues. So, of course, the first big question was, what is the government's position on cryptocurrency? And the finance minister said that it is a risky area, which is not in a complete regulatory framework, obviously. So, clearly indicating that they do see it as a risk-prone area, and there is a need for some kind of a framework which doesn't exist right now. There was a specific question whether the government has any plan to regulate cryptocurrency, to which the finance minister said that discussions are being held on regulatory capacity. Meanwhile, steps are also being taken by the Reserve Bank of India, via the market regulator SEBI, to create awareness amongst the investors. There was a question on what about steps to curb advertisements for crypto, and right now, if you see all around, there are lots and lots of ads from all kinds of stakeholders linked to crypto. And the government said there is no decision that has been taken yet on banning the advertisements, though we continue to caution the investors. It was asked if you know what is the total investment in cryptocurrencies in our country, something that we've also often raised and debated because there isn't any official data, and that's what the government and the finance minister also said. Government does not collect data on crypto trading. I wonder if you're defining a policy, but you don't really know the extent of investments that may already exist in this country. Strange as it is, that's the reality. Is there a plan that the government has to tax investments in cryptocurrencies? The finance minister says discussions are underway for all angles of the framework. In fact, there was an initial initial bill that was tabled in the budget session. But as the realities of this world change, the realities of this segment change, the bill and the law is also being rewritten. And that is why a new avatar of that bill will come into the parliament session this time around. The finance minister also said, we don't have ready information on the tax that may have been collected so far, but it is, in a sense, being viewed as income, just like any other income, and so there should be tax on it. Is it a separate legal framework that the government is looking at for NFTs as well? Non-fungible tokens, a whole different ball game altogether, but it's getting extremely popular right now across the world. The finance minister said, well, all matters are being discussed, but at this point, I cannot say if there is going to be a separate framework for NFTs. Let's play out excerpts of those comments and then we'll discuss this more.
Through the SEBI, through the RBI, and through once, I think, Government of India, there have been statements issued and also fairly awareness building attempt has been made to say that this is a risky area and people who are going in there be conscious as to what you're doing, and also said that this is an area yet not in complete regulatory framework.
क्या भारत सरकार ऐसा कर रही है? इन जो एडवर्टीजमेंट आ रहे हैं इनको बंद करने का कोई उपाय हो सकता है? तब तक
बंद करने का उपाय अभी तक कुछ नहीं है, मगर जरूर कॉशन देने का, युवाओं को इस विषय में जो रिस्क है उस विषय में ध्यान दिलाने के लिए कदम उठा रहे हैं सरकार के द्वारा, सेबी के द्वारा, आरबीआई के द्वारा। जैसे मैंने कहा, इससे और अधिक मात्रा में वो कर सकते हैं, मगर अब हम इस कगार पर आ गए हैं कि हमारे बिल जल्दी आने वाला है। एडवर्टाइजमेंट स्टैंडर्ड्स Council of India, the ASCI, which governs all advertisements, their guidelines are being studied and the regulations that they have are all being looked into so that we can take, if necessary, some kind of a position or a decision to say how we are going to handle this.
So this is where we stand as of now. अब हम उस कगार पे आ गए हैं जहाँ जल्द ही एक बिल पार्लियामेंट में इंट्रोड्यूस होगा. Now, a few days ago, I don't know if you were tracking it, but we did highlight the fact that when the government listed the bill as one of the many bills that will be brought in this parliament session, the description of the bill had actually spooked the entire crypto world, because the description of the bill was that of the older version, which essentially was from the point of time where the government wasn't looking at recognizing, legalizing, allowing cryptocurrencies in the country. There was essentially a thought that they should be banned and only a digital currency of the Reserve Bank of India should exist. But today the finance minister indicated that since then the realities have changed and they are working on a updated version of the bill, and that's what everybody is looking forward towards. So maybe that will allay some of the concerns right now that exist still in the markets, that maybe it was just a cut, copy, paste job, older description put on a newer bill, or maybe there isn't a newer description yet because the bill is still being worked upon. Either which ways, what should India's crypto policy be and the framework be? That's what we're going to discuss tonight. Anush Bhasin, crypto tax consultant, joins me this evening. Nitin Gupta, head of operations at CoinCrunch. Aruna Sharma, member for the digitization committee at RBI. Mohammad Khan, national spokesperson for the Congress Party. And Anand Gurumurthy, spokesperson for the BJP, joining me right now. Nitin, let's start off with you first. What did you make of what the finance minister said today?
So, what she said actually has helped us clear some ambiguity around the entire concept. There was a lot of confusion happening ever since it was announced that amongst the 26 bills to be tabled in this session, crypto bill will be one of them. But then again, the ambiguity started from the fact that it mentioned the same things that we saw in this bill, which was like to be released or to be tabled in the budget session of 2021. So, in fact, the title, the description, everything remains same. And that is what actually caused the panic, per to say, amongst the investors, especially the new ones, who didn't understand what is the prohibition of private currencies meant. And that actually gave people a motive to be panicked, because they didn't understand, like, what is the future of it? What's going to happen? Because ever since the budget session ended, there have been multiple talks with the government, with the stakeholders of the community, that, okay, something is going to happen. They are looking at it. Some things might be favorable. And they had made it clear in so many words that a blanket ban would not be happening for crypto in India. That was the first thing that was established. But again, when this came out, the same title as it was previously released, it definitely caused ambiguity amongst the investors, especially the new ones. Despite of all the discussions, it was back to square one. But today's words by our finance minister has changed so many things, because she has, for the first time, come out in the public, and in Rajya Sabha she spoke that things are not as they were a few months back, and things are changing. They have reworked at the crypto bill that was being mentioned in the starting of the year, and they are just trying to study and comprehend. So the most important point to realize here is we have to look at it from a different lens altogether. This is not the same as your mainstream market like stock market or something. It is a complete different ball game altogether. So you will have, it will take time, definitely, but we'll have to be patient here. And meanwhile, we have also to secure our innocent investors who are new to the field, and maybe they are not sure about what is happening in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. There aren't, and there is so much of uncertainty outside of what crypto markets already bring in. Uncertainty of what the regulations will be. My apologies. There seems to be some mix-up here with my list. Aishwarya Madhav, good evening to you, of the Congress Party, joining me right now. But before I come to you, Aishwarya, I also want to bring in Aruna Sharma on this. Aruna Sharma, various aspects that exist. A lot of what the finance minister said today was also about the SEBI and the RBI cautioning investors repeatedly, yet no clarity on, the advertisements. There's unabated advertisements currently right now happening, which may mislead some of the new innocent investors, or even on the policies like taxation. Where do you stand on what our policy should be going forward?
Absolutely right. I think the statement of Finance Minister today in the Rajya Sabha, as Nitin has very rightly said, has cleared a lot of clouds which were there, making it very clear that crypto will be treated separate from the official digital currency which RBI will bring out. So in the sense, there may be two bills, or there may be one bill with two parts. One part which will be dealing and enabling RBI to come with a digital currency, which will be a legal tender for trading. And for Indians, it is not something new, because digital payment, the way it has gone up in geometrical proportion, we are actually a step towards digital currency. The only difference will be that the currency printing will come down. It will be backed by the gold reserves and the normal norms of the currency. And the value of your currency remains the same. It is not speculative. Whereas crypto is something which is completely in the speculative market. Therefore, the policy, what you are asking, has to be treating it as a speculative market, and therefore as an asset. That is what is being talked about. And then what SEBI regulations will apply, what others will apply. So, and then what very clearly has been talked about, advertisement, which will come under the rules what she mentioned about, which controls the kind of advertisements which are not offending, which are not misleading. The same will apply to these advertisements. That crypto, anybody is investing in crypto has to understand it is an investment portfolio. Number two, it has to be an informed decision that it is not backed by any protection, by any law. It is like my shares going up or my shares falling. It is not even a 5 lakhs kind of a backup which I get in my FDs and saving accounts in a bank. It is completely speculative. So that point has been made very clear, that advertisement has to be well-informed, well-regulated, and what RBI and SEBI has rightly cautioned, that people should do an informed decision of investment into crypto. So that has to come up. But having said, it is equally important that policy should have the aspects where the blockchain is maintained. There is no database which is maintained outside the blockchain, and it gives a complete feasibility. This knowledge has to be imparted very clearly. Then all the rules and roles will have to be worked out in detail, where the crypto exchanges and peer-to-peer lending, as we go ahead into this, tomorrow when it will mature up, that it is not escaping the tax, it is not into the illegal kind of activities. So that blockchain monitoring of transactions will become like an important provisioning in this policy.
Okay.
So a lot of debate has to go into the provisioning in this policy for regulating the crypto.
Yes, and while we are much behind, in terms of where the markets have already reached and the fact that it is unregulated right now, one also must highlight that there are various nuances that need to be discussed, factored in. Many of those are changing by the day, and somebody also needs to be telling our policymakers of what it means and then how do you tackle it, and which is going to be a very difficult job, frankly, to do. But now we know that it's not banned in the country as we speak. It's unregulated. The government doesn't intend to perhaps ban it. They will look at some kind of a regulation. The description isn't something that we should go by because that's the old bill. The government is working on a new bill, and these are the kind of clarifications that has come in. Now comes the tax part. Before I go to the political representatives, let's also just quickly talk about that. Anush Bhasin, for any investor, what's the taxation current status, and what did you make of what Finance Minister said today then?
Yeah, I think first of all, the conversation today was very positive. The fact that crypto was discussed in such detail for the first time in the parliament is a matter of, I think, just having a positive outlook. Also, most of the questions were focused around investor protection. They were around how do we ensure that these advertisements are not going to mislead the youth. And nobody was really asking what are we doing to ban cryptocurrencies and questions which were coming out in negative light. So the questions as well as the responses that the finance minister gave were very positive. And the fact that she mentioned that the bill this time has been completely redrafted is a completely new bill, considering the kind of market development that has been in the last 6 to 8 months. Certainly goes to show that the government is looking at it from a new light, especially considering the unicorns that are coming up, the number of youth investors that are coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities in this space. It's not a space that can be banned outright. I think the overall conversation was very positive. In terms of taxation, there has never been a question that crypto is not taxable. The tax laws are very clear that all incomes are taxable unless specifically exempt, and everybody is aware that there is no specific exemption around cryptocurrencies at the moment. It's largely unregulated. Any income that you earn from cryptocurrencies has to be adequately disclosed and paid taxes on in India. The only question that arises is, how do I adequately disclose my crypto income? There are so many different forms of incomes that you can make in crypto. That could be trading, investing, mining, airdrops. There's a lot of new terms that the income tax department is just learning. So there has to be ways to adequately disclose and make the government aware that this is the kind of income that I'm making from crypto. And that's possibly also one of the reasons why the finance minister would not have an overall picture on how much taxes being paid through crypto, because I could possibly just be disclosing it as income from other sources and not say that this is a crypto specific income. And that also stems out of fear that if I tell the government that I'm dealing in crypto, will I be penalized or punished later? So there is a need, or there is an urgency from investors on their income, because they are making a lot of money. The market this year has been evidence of that. They're not sure of what the government is going to come out with in terms of regulations. So they are a bit hesitant at the same time. We worked with a number of investors all year round, helping them comply with taxes. And I would like to say that most of the people do want to pay their taxes. They want to be on the right side of the law. They want to legitimize their income, and they want to be able to enjoy it. So keeping that in mind, I think the investor mindset is very, very positive.
But let me ask this honestly, what you are saying is absolutely right. But what percentage of the investors out there are actually aware of this? And I'm asking you this because crypto itself isn't regulated in our country. So there are no sets of rules that exist that people can actually look up at and say, okay, this is the law right now. So what percentage of people, roughly, I know it's difficult because we don't know the amount that is invested in our country, what percentage are actually paying their tax on their crypto returns or income?
It's hard to say, but I think at least 40 to 50% are complying with taxes. Since the past 3 years, a lot of different influencers have come up with videos, and they're trying to spread awareness around complying with taxes, because this is what legitimizes the industry. This is what promotes self-compliance. And it's just a matter of finding the right consultant or the right CA who will help you disclose that income. There is certainly a dearth of tax consultants who currently understand how this space works and how to comply with tax laws. But as the market becomes more popular, as more consultants start coming in, that number is going to significantly increase.
Okay. Let's then look at and ask the two political representatives here of what is going to be the way forward. At the end of the day, we'll probably see a lot more conversations, Aishwarya, in the parliament as well, this parliament session, if we see it functioning in the coming days.
Tanvi, before that, I think Ms. Sharma very succinctly pointed out the fact that, the RBI is going to create framework and guidelines, because there's no point where they don't want to implement, let's say, blockchain technology and go forward. But the critical question that remains is cryptocurrency is a 3 trillion economy, from what I understand, as of November 2021. It is critical. It exists. It's at levels of, let's say, regulation in certain countries and whatnot. And to have a blanket, on cryptocurrency because you believe it's risky is one, it's going to send it underground. Second, it's going to move outside the tax bracket. And 3, you will allow it to work in, let's say, areas like the deep web where it already is, which forms a larger part of the nexus with far more illegal activities. If I may draw an analogy, when demonetization happened, you said there's a lot of money in the informal economy that we need to bring in. If you understand the technology, like let's say blockchain or wallet technology, you're further driving far more money underground than physical currency that may have been held without being declared. I think the fact of the matter remains that the government cannot push this under the carpet and say we don't know how to regulate crypto. For example, Uno Coin, which is one of the platforms that came up on Note when asked about do we have any cryptocurrency exchanges here. Uno Coin worked on the simple principle is because there was an absence of the law, the government asked them to give up KYC. The government asked them to do the bare minimum regulation so that the money that you held in these digital wallets could be accounted for. So there's no quagmire in terms of what is the law or what is the solution. It's just that the government needs to have a meaningful conversation, because you cannot keep an economy this wide outside of the sphere of regulation. When you talk about bringing everything into the formal economy, when you see the advent of technology, things like crypto have far greater multiplier effect and also far greater value, and especially with fluctuating currency values, right? You saw that entire list of business where you said ban crypto, you saw 13% drop in the value of crypto suddenly and a lot of panic. And just like any speculative markets, you need to prevent these instances, or we'll see how shorting works, or we'll see a lot of fluctuations in the market. And even if you don't regulate it, a lot of other global companies do, countries do rather. And you are cutting yourself out of not only income tax, you're cutting yourself out of regulation to prevent far more illegal, like let's say laundering or whatever else. And you're also not giving yourself an opportunity to adapt.
But Aishwarya, today what the finance minister said seems to suggest that they are not going to ban it completely or cut ourselves out from this world, that they're working on something that defines a framework for it. I don't know when it will come through though.
See, I think, Tanvi, the fact remains that they have to be open to also listen to all the stakeholders. You cannot have a judgment on what should it be, but all the let's say the stakeholders and who owns what not, even global consultation, because from Canada, which has a partial regulation, to America, to even in Europe, there is a lot of policy that's there. We can't get left behind in this advent of fintech just because we think that we don't know enough about it. I think this is a great opportunity for India to adapt. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity if we can allow to bring this into the formal economy and go forward, Tanvi.
Okay, so let's bring in Anand Gurumurthy then, because if it's and I agree, there needs to be exhaustive conversations about it, Anand Gurumurthy. What has the government done so far that we officially know? One, they set up a panel a couple of years ago that submitted a report, a panel that was head by one of the then, bureaucrats in the finance ministry, and they gave their own set of recommendations, largely which was to say nothing doing, just ban it all. Secondly, they said that, okay, we're not going to do that, we're going to change a plan, but I don't know if another committee was made. We only know that just as recently as November 15th was when one big conversation with the stakeholders took place. That's the only meeting that we are well aware of that actually happened where exhaustive conversations took place. And now we are saying that the bill is ready. Are we rushing it now after dragging our feet for a while?
Cryptocurrencies are there from way back in 2005, 2006. The idea started in 2008. There were currencies in the market actually, 2008, 9, if I remember it properly. And then I just want to touch upon two things. I'll come to the political part, but let me ask one straight question. There are 200 countries, 200 plus countries in the world and 100 plus currencies. And we have so many types of mismanagement that happens in the currency market. Now, cryptocurrencies, since they started in the last 10 to 12 years, they have more than 1,000 companies which are offering. So I'm just telling from the investor perspective, if somebody is investing in it, take care. Because see, this is something which is completely unregulated, as the finance minister says. Okay, somebody might be a celebrity, okay, who is for advertisement, or somebody, getting some kind of benefit out of it. They are in the creamy layer. But if somebody who's putting his heart into it, then please know this, that, there are thousands of currencies in just 12 years. Now, why I'm telling this, thousands of currencies in just 12 years is one very important point the investor has to understand. Quantum computers are just on the borderline. Once the quantum computing comes into picture, whatever takes mining years together, mining takes a few weeks or months in using quantum computers. The technology has not come in full force, but yes, it's on the borderline. So what happens then? Nobody is answering these questions. So if an investor puts in money and another 10,000 cryptocurrencies come in, what happens to his money? So these are things which are very unclear. So 12 years ago, what was cryptocurrencies? People in the software industries who were there, who saw the mining, who were rented out mining machines and other things, know that the computation was so slow then. Today with cloud technologies, it has sped up. In the last 5-6 years, there are thousands of companies that have come up. It's a complete bubble that is getting created. What I'm telling is only from the investor's perspective. Think, and think. And second thing is, Congress today comes up with an allegation saying that we are rushing or something, or some kind of allegation. But this started way back 10-12 years ago when Manmohan Singh, one of our most well-known economists, even in the 90s, was the Prime Minister. Why didn't the regulation come then? Why didn't India think about cryptocurrencies? Our government,
no,
the BJP government.
Let's not go back to 40 years ago and now say, why didn't Jawaharlal Nehru think of it? Anand Gurumurthy, my simple point is, from 2 years ago, when the government-appointed panel submitted its recommendations, the government's view has changed. From a year ago, when the government tabled the earlier avatar of the bill, to now, the government's view has changed. So now, for your view to have changed, what other conversations with the industry, with various aspects of the crypto industry, have you done to decide what should the framework be? That's the question.
See, government view has changed is a word that is being put in. The government has always told that it is an unregulated thing. Okay, and it has always been this. In fact, if you the last budget presented by...
of course, it's unregulated. That's why you need to bring in regulations.
Arun Jaitley ji also mentions cryptocurrency in the parliament during the financial bill presentation. And then also he says, okay, we have not thought about it and it is in the process. So it has been discussed from many years and it's an open debate. We have digital committees in the parliament whose representative is also with us today. It has been discussed for a very long time and not just bureaucrats. There are many people, political people who are involved in this in these discussions. It's just an allegation which, the Congress can throw at any point in time. But it has been discussed and it has been in the public debate from a very long time. So anybody can...
Okay, so you're saying that it's been in public debate for a very long time, not to say that we've just held 2 meetings. Though those were the issues that I raised, but since you mentioned Congress, I'll ask Aishwarya to respond before I go back to my experts.
Tanvi, the fact of the matter remains that over time, obviously, financial instruments transition from a barter system to an economy. Mr. Anand Gurumurthy will talk about, it's an investor issue. Well, when investors also invest in stocks and shares or anything on the speculative market, there's a certain amount of risk, right? If a company decides to extend or expand on the number of shares or have another IPO, obviously the value is something that changes. Doesn't mean you don't adapt. Only the simplest example, when Paytm happened in 2016, the entire country got onto it. Maybe it was a means of necessity, but that was an entire new era of, let's say, transactions, especially on the digital platform, right? Did the government step in later and bring in KYC or not? They did. They did not say we don't want to work with this at all. The fact of the matter is any government should have a certain amount of adaptability. One. Second is, sir, you may blame, you can talk about this conversation wherever you want, 2005, Nehru's era, wherever it is. But the fact is, it came into the market, the value went burgeoning currently, and that is why there's a need for regulation. There's a need for debate. Your select panel, how many stakeholders did they bring in? You've decided to push this bill through, but how many of the actual digital exchanges have you spoken about? What is the impact on the informal economy, right? Those are the questions that the country and even the government should be asking. It is risky, but does not mean you do not regulate. You've done it over like generations in trying to adapt. This is obviously a new system, and you say every country has a different currency. Does the global currency market not work because of that, sir? The global currency market is extremely well regulated. Bitcoin also, you want to bring it in, sir. If you say there are thousands of Bitcoins, the simple solution is this. Anybody who possesses any form of cryptocurrency has to give in their KYC. Has to obviously then when I declare, let's say, stock certificates on my income tax, add this as a part of it. There you have an entire...
That is the exact point which I am trying to tell, Aishwarya. That's the exact point which I am trying to tell. Without regulation, if somebody is investing, then they are taking a very big risk. They are going into an unregulated market. Okay. Now, what government comes up with, that we have to see in the future days. But without regulation, if somebody is investing, then it is an unregulated market.
Yes, so the point taken. You are cautioning.
And that is why I brought in the question of quantum computers. And when quantum computers come in, thousands more currencies can come in too. Then what happens in that market is right now...
So I'll tell you what, Mr. Anand Gurumurthy, another day, once we are clearer about what the framework is, or maybe even before that, we've have a conversation about the risk involved in cryptocurrencies and whether or not you should invest. And then we'll talk about this. But today, I just want to be specifically about what is it as a framework that we're looking at. Have there been enough conversations with the various stakeholders involved? Nitin, to you that question. I'm not saying we need to expect that everybody within the government needs to understand this world, but obviously before they decide on the legal framework, they need to have interactions with people who do understand it.
Definitely. It's actually a very, very important thing. I mean, recently the government actually held discussions with the stakeholders. That was a very step in the right direction, because it was very much needed. Like, we understand how ambiguous the crypto market is for a new trader or a person who is looking at it from a lens of a stock market or a traditional market. So for them to understand what crypto is, they have to actually initiate a conversation with someone who is already into it or has a practice or a thorough understanding of how things work. Like Sir was saying that there have been many, like 10,000s of cryptocurrencies can be made once new technology comes in. So there are many aspects to it. Like, many cryptocurrencies come on a daily basis. I agree. All the risks related to cryptocurrencies are actually pretty much valid. But the thing is, it's not that simple as well. The coding is done in such a way that even if you throttle as much power as you want, this certain amount. So for instance, Bitcoin, 6.25 Bitcoin will be released in 10 minutes. Irrespective of how much power you throttle in, the coding has been done in such a way that irrespective how much energy is throttled into the system, it will just shoot out 6.25 Bitcoins in 10 minutes. And it has been coded in such a way that after a certain period of time, it reduces. So there's a process called halving. But I won't get into the technicals. I'm just saying there is so much more to understand that what meets to the eye. And hence, so this is a basic thing also that human psychology has. What we don't understand, we fear it from it. And that is why it is very, very important that we hold the discussions with the stakeholders who actually understand the crypto ecosystem or, you know, the technology, how it is evolving.
Okay.
So, and yeah, sorry.
Anand, you wanted to comment?
Yeah, I just want to ask him one question. Who controls the throttle of how many Bitcoins are released?
Coding.
So yes, who does the coding?
It has been
finally
it is a trustless. No.
So if I come up,
no. There is no company. I'm sorry, sir.
Nitin, 1 minute. Okay, I'm into the industry and I'm in the industry for a very long time. If I come up with quantum computers and tomorrow, if I'm doing the coding, I will release 100 coins per second. Is there somebody to stop me?
Sir, you can do that, but you can't regulate. So you can make a new coin out of it, but you can't regulate the Bitcoin. That is what I'm saying.
I agree. What is existing is existing. I agree with you.
Exactly.
But see, what I'm trying to put in here, what I'm trying to put in is by spending electricity and by moving bits here and there, we are coming up with some valuation. That is good. It is good for the human economy and other things. But a regulated approach is very good. Right now, the market is quite unregulated. It's very nice that it's a wonderful market. That is fine. But if it is being built on a foundation that small town investors are investing, so it should be regulated. No, it should be regulated with certain frameworks in mind and it should ensure that whoever is investing in it, his value is protected.
Okay. Allow me to bring in Aruna Sharma at this point, because Aruna Sharma, while digital currency of the Reserve Bank of India is one thing, the Reserve Bank of India so far has not been really in favor of having these cryptocurrencies. As recent as last month, the Reserve Bank of India's governor spoke about it and said, even now, a large part of the investments that are being made are sub 3,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees and not a very large pool. So do you believe that within the Reserve Bank of India currently there is a different view than what the government may be looking at?
Well, my take on Reserve Bank of India is as much as it is in the public domain, because not what's inside. But yes, Reserve Bank of India does have a reservation, a strong reservation, because of the macro impact and fiscal policy impact of having crypto. So first thing, I would like to make a request to Anchor as well as the panelists, that you must have seen that Nitin also did not use the word cryptocurrency. It is just crypto.
Yeah.
So please understand that crypto, it is not a currency at all. So with that clarity, the reservations of RBIs will then start settling down, that it is just like an investment that is happening. And let me tell you, the kind of peer-to-peer investment, what we are debating, it is existing in a non-legal support market already in India. Have you not heard of committees where people put money, or ROSCA? Where you put money and then somebody who wants a credit bids for the rate of interest and takes the money from there. So this kind of an informal market is huge in the country, especially in the hinterlands with the lower section of the society. It is very, very prevalent. And that's why when they got this advantage of crypto investment, the switchover was so quick, so fast, that these small amounts of 1,000, 3,000, because I think the average ticket size is just 3,000 in the crypto.
Yeah.
So that kind of an investment started coming. So here when we are talking about is that the kind of protection wing that the government can give to this is only to the walking the way of giving informed decision-making possibilities. They are not misguided that it is a currency. They are not misguided that your money is going to multiply soon or fastest or do it. They have to protect of the Ponzi kind of things which will come up. They have to ensure the crypto. And when the talk was about the taxation, it is equally important. The correction we have done in the securities market is you are taxed only when you encash.
Yeah.
So you cannot tax when you are investing or hypothetically your money has become double. So at the time of the money gets encashed back, the gains definitely will become taxable the moment we declare it as an asset. So quote unquote, the moment you write asset, your SEBI guidelines apply, your tax laws apply, everything will start applying. And then, yes, what has been very rightly said, that when the quantum technology comes up, the multiple players will come, and that is where my personal take in this is, like you have exchanges, 2 exchanges in India, maybe a time comes that you also have a crypto vertical, which takes care that every transaction that is happening in India is through India. And we get to know about what is happening, and the gains get encashed here. Because there is also fear of, and there is a technology enables it. And today, even in a share market, it enables you to invest into the international stock exchanges.
Right.
So something similar here, you can invest in dollars. And, you pitch it against dollars. So all these kinds, while you are drafting this regulation, will have to be done with. It is a positive sign that there were a meeting of the parliamentary committee. There are long meetings with finance department, with the stakeholders, and frequent meetings that are happening.
Okay.
So this drafting will have to be done very carefully about the regulations for the crypto. It is not something which can be hurried and pushed through, but like the finance minister has said, that it will be coming at the earliest.
Yeah.
Now
so
that earliest is whether this session or the next budget session is a question.
Just to follow up from an citizen point of view, an investor's point of view, who will then regulate it if it's not going to be considered as a cryptocurrency for the framework? And you say it's going to be treated as an asset. Will it come under the market regulator? Should there be a separate regulator that comes into play?
Yes.
To you, Aruna Sharma.
See, actually, if you don't want, if you don't want to have another regulator, then SEBI is good enough to take care of the asset. But you will need a technical wing into it to look into it, because this is completely a technology-oriented thing, which is not backed by a company or an asset of a company, which is a normal way of security holding. But the kind of declarations, the kind of compliances, and everything you have to do can fall into the existing SEBI guidelines with little tweaking, and having a subcommittee maybe with SEBI, or you have a separate regulatory body which looks into the technology part of it. Because there has been instances where for tax escaping, instead of putting the data in the blockchain, they maintain a data file. And that is not crypto. That is definitely not crypto. So these kind of things will have to be looked into. So I think they will need some experts.
Yeah.
But the moment you declare asset, at least 80% of the things will get sorted out.
Yeah. To begin with, we don't even know that definition and which way they're going to be headed. Though many do believe that it should be treated as an asset. Very quickly, before I wrap this up, Anush Bhasin, from what we've heard so far, obviously a lot more needs to come from the government. What is that one key area, an aspect that you wish the government does look at and have a conversation on before defining the framework?
I think the most important thing the government needs to look at is the current exchanges or the platforms where people are able to buy and sell. These exchanges or these platforms are what and who can be the gatekeepers of the crypto framework in India. They are the ones who can collect all of the information about people who are investing, what kind of activities they're doing, and actually take it back to the government. So the first step needs to be introducing a sandbox or a licensing regime, making sure that these platforms or these exchanges are bringing all of this information back to the government. And it's very important to make friends with these gatekeepers, because crypto is a lot more nuanced than securities or traditional stocks are. In crypto, I can buy Bitcoin and I can actually transfer it off the platform. Now the government has no way of knowing who's holding what crypto, and I can actually transfer it to another person or another wallet. And as long as it's being done off a platform, it becomes very difficult to track. So the first thing being, the government needs to understand that these gatekeepers or these exchanges are the primary sources of information. Number two, in terms of reporting requirements, in terms of tax disclosures, the government needs to come out with very specific guidelines. It's not that because the government has not clarified that crypto is taxable, crypto is not taxable. It is. But if the government does come out with specific guidelines, then a lot of the uncertainty, a lot of confusion is taken care of, and investors don't really need to rely and look for consultants as well. They can do their tax filings themselves. So very, very basic steps if the government does take. It's going to be a very welcome step. And the most important thing, cryptocurrency is very misleading. Most regulators all over the world have been calling it a virtual asset, a crypto asset, a digital asset, and have been regulating it as a commodity, as an investable asset class, as a property. So we need to move away from the term cryptocurrency and start calling it a crypto asset or a virtual asset.
Yeah, okay, point well noted, both you and Narendra Sharma pointing that part out. And for a lot of what you just explained, Anush, I think Aishwarya and Anand Gurumurthy will agree, because they must have very closely tracked the crypto or the Bitcoin scandal and scam that emerged from Karnataka, which I think will also the authorities should use as a case example to see, where are they hitting those dead ends and those brick walls where information is not available is very difficult to track. That case is a stark example of how difficult it is right now for the authorities to look at these things. And those are the corrections that we need to make in the system when we design that framework. Big thank you to all of you. It's been an extremely interesting conversation. One of many more that we will have in the coming days as cryptocurrencies becomes one of the biggest talking points in our countries today. The crypto asset becomes one of the biggest talking points. Every day, something new happening in that segment, in that market. Various questions being put across to government. We got some sense of where the government is headed, but a lot more clarity needed. Perhaps it will only come as more conversations happen in the parliament and then when the government actually tables that bill. We'll keep you posted on that. For now, thank you for joining us on this conversation.